What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Wholesale Hard Knocks, episode 13. It's your boy Daryl Ellison. I got my brother Mike Gomes with me. Yo, we have a special guest today. My brother Don Rich. I look up to this guy as a mentor. He may not even know it yet. I look up to this guy as a mentor. I seen him when I first got into sub 2. I'm just like, who is this? Who's this guy with this late night DJ voice and crushing it every day on these daily dials? And I'm like, yo, I need to learn more. So I started looking up everything about Don Rich and sub 2, see all the pre-foreclosure stuff, see everything, bro. And this guy is just absolutely crushing it. We were just talking about just backstage how he's I really hate labeling him as this, but he's one of the best kept secrets out here. Right? Like, he's behind the scenes crushing it, and we're just talking about he's got to get out here and be way more bigger on social media. And y'all, I'm super excited to talk to Don. Have this interview today. Don, welcome, my brother. How are you?
Hey man, I'm great. I'm blessed, bro. Much appreciation to both of you guys, man, and happy to be here with you.
Yes, sir, bro. To Daryl's point, we're just behind the scenes for like maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And just a little background story. I haven't met Don Rich up to this point. But Daryl just said, hey, Don is like a mentor to me. And I could tell in the 2 or 3 minutes that we were just talking, I'm like, yo, this needs to be one of my mentors.
Yo, like I said, Don is one of my mentors. It's just all the stuff that he's gotten, like the Zoom vaults and like all the stuff that I learned when I first came into sub 2. I'm like, man, like this guy has taught me so much, like about closing and everything, like just so much, bro. Like I still use a line from you on a daily basis that I got from the Daily Dial, and what was it? I'll remember it, but I remember exactly. Oh, that's what it was. It's like they're like, yeah, I mean, as a seller, it's your job to get the top possible number for this property, right? Me as an investor, it's my job to get the lowest
possible number.
Exactly. Now it's our job together to work together and come up to a number that works for you and works for me on the same at the same time.
Absolutely.
I'm like, bro, this guy got so many gems, like, and that literally stuck with me. I say that on a lot of my calls. But yo, for those who don't know, who is Don Rich?
Man, from the top down, child of God, father, husband, father, entrepreneur, a go-getter in every sense of the word, man. I don't really take no well on things that I'm trying to go after. And I'm just a guy that's trying to get 1% better every single day. Whether that's in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, trying to provide opportunities for my family, my employees, everybody that works for me, the people that I come across, and man, just having blinders on and staying in my lane and focusing on growing every single day, no matter how painful it is sometimes, and working through that pain, getting to new peaks, and recognizing that in order to get to that next peak, I'm about to have to go through a valley of death. You can't just jump from peak to peak. It doesn't work that way in business. You gotta understand and realize that when you get to one peak, there's a valley of death that's going to follow that you're going to have to go through, and there's no escaping it. A lot of people try to skate by and escape it, and if you're a person that internally you understand that in order to get to that next level, that valley of death is something that you're going to have to go through, well, then you embrace it. And so that's who I am. I'm a person that embraces that valley of death that's coming until I get to that next peak.
Love that.
Yo, that's super important, right? Like I was just on all of our mutual friend Marlon Johnson. Shout out to Marlon. He just started a new podcast with Elena.
He did.
And I was actually honored to be the first guest on there. And that's something that we were just talking about yesterday, right? Because it's about your redemption story, right? And how everybody who's at a certain level, they've had to go through some tough shit to get to where
straight up.
Right? Like, had to go through some tough stuff to get to where they're at. And Marlon, he described it as driving through a tunnel, right? And he's like, how did you get through that tunnel? And I told him how I got through it, but then I told him, I'm like, but honestly, man, those tunnels never go away, right? They may just get a little shorter, and you may get a little space in between them, but you're going to drive through a tunnel again, right? You're gonna more prepared every time, but you're going to drive through a tunnel again. And that's super, super important. So like,
well, I apologize, man, but to that point, that's the importance of mentors. Yeah. They don't help you avoid the tunnel. They just help you press on the gas faster. And get through those tunnels a hell of a lot faster. And they're saying, hey, don't slow down right there. Like you slow down right there, you're gonna slip on something. You're gonna stall. Like I did that already. So when you get to there, kind of drive around that so you can keep going faster. So it's always important to recognize that, like you just said, you're gonna have to go through the tunnels, but the importance of having mentors to help you drive faster through those tunnels it should be high up on your list.
Daryl, you were touching on something yesterday on the Nightly Dial about curiosity. That's like, for me, that's one big thing for me when it comes to going down the tunnels. Sometimes I will legit put myself in a situation where I'm going to be going through shit on purpose. Because I'm curious to see how well I can maneuver in the tunnel. Does that make sense?
It makes
that does. Oh, go ahead, Daryl. My bad.
No. You're the guest, brother. Go ahead. We're here to hear your knowledge.
No, I agree with you, man. Sometimes that experience is invaluable to you, even though you might have somebody whispering in your ear telling you, hey, like, this is what I've already experienced here. By like, as humans, man, we're creatures of habit, and sometimes putting ourselves through that pain is a habit of ours. And that experience, while you could have possibly avoided it, now that you do have it, the next person that you're teaching, that you're going to bring up, that you're going to mentor to, you can explain to them and basically give them the option of if they want to go through it or if they want to go around it.
Yep. That's big. And like, that's another thing. Like, so not as far as like just doing things that are bad for you, right? Like taking advice. And I learned that the hard way, right? Like I had to put my hand on the stove and get burned before I learned. But as far as like putting yourself through those tunnels, like I purposely put myself in uncomfortable situations, right? Like I'm living in a damn RV right now. I'm not in there right now, but I'm living in an RV in the middle of Arizona, right? Like just to
Breaking Bad over there.
Right. Exactly. Just to not get comfortable. Right. So I think that's very important as well. But Don, so like you're obviously very, very big on like mentors and stuff. And I'm not mistaken, you got into real estate with the mentor. You had a mentor like right away. You mind telling that story?
Yeah, not at all, man. So with my mentor, like this was a time where I was transitioning from AT&T. I had been in AT&T corporate at the time. And, shout out to AT&T for all the corporate background and knowledge that they instilled within me. But through that transition period, I met my mentor basically like at a restaurant, and I overheard him and another person talking. And for me, it was like, I'm listening in. I'm sitting here like really ear hustling on their conversation. And they're talking real estate and they're talking numbers and things that at this point, like I kind of read up on it a little bit. So that's why my curiosity was piqued. But I didn't know like everything in depth with it. So me being an A-type personality, man, I just went over to him and said, hey, like, guys, I've been kind of listening to you guys, overhearing you. Like, I'll happily pay for the rest of y'all's drinks if I can get in on the conversation. It's like, what do I have to lose? Y'all already drinking. Let me take care of the rest of them and soak up this knowledge that I don't know how much it's going to end up earning me, but I know it'll probably end up earning me more than what I'm spending on these drinks right here for you. Yeah. So did that. Fast forward towards the end of the conversation, he's asking me like, hey, what do you got up tomorrow? And I was like, whatever you need me to do. So we go out to lunch the next day. And as we're going, he's telling me everything that he does, everything that he goes through, all the stuff that he's been a part of, the companies that he's owned, sold, all the stuff that he does within the real estate realm. And then he's like, hey, yeah, I got a mentorship. It's $20,000 for 6 months. At the time, man, I'm like, I'm patting pockets that ain't there with money that ain't in it. And I'm like, man, I don't have $20,000 to give you, for this. Like, thanks for lunch though. Like, lunch was great. I appreciate it. And he goes, well, you know what, man, nobody's come up to me and did what you did yesterday. He goes, that shows me that you got some ambition. So I'll tell you what, you won't have to pay me for the mentorship. was like, all right, this is sounding good. Now he goes, but when I call you, you're going to answer. When I tell you to go somewhere, you're going to go there. When I tell you to go pick up something, you're going to go do it. Everything I tell you to do, you're going to go do it. And literally for like a year and a half, 2 years, I was an apprentice there, man. Just learning the game, soaking it up. I tell people all the time, I learned creative finance before I learned wholesaling. It was my first deal, in a sense, worked out to be a creative finance deal. And, you know, everything that I learned from him, like, it just stuck with me. And it was so intriguing. Like, most of his paperwork, like, that was the first time I saw like napkin numbers, you know, where we're going down and we're analyzing deals. And while we're analyzing them, we use three things like cash now, cash flow, cash later. And it's like, all right, which ultimately comes into how much is it going to take for us to get into this deal? What's our entry fee into this deal? After that, what's our cash flow that we're going to get out of this deal after our entry fees are paid? Third, what's our equity on the back end? You know, are we going to lease option this deal? We're going to owner finance this deal. We're going to rent this deal. What is it going to look like? And in a matter of, 5 minutes, you can jot down numbers, look at everything, analyze, and like, all right, this is a 12% return. This is 22% return. This is 18% return. This one's not worth it. And it's like those three elements, as I got into other mentorships and sub two and things like that, you start seeing the breakdown of what it all goes into an entry fee with it for the cash now, in essence. And it's like it's all the same language. Like things have been the same for multiple years in the creative finance world. It's gift wrapped a little different, and it's total a little different. And invaluable lessons there, man. I'll tell you this much. I'll never put out another bandit sign in my life, ever. I don't care how much you pay me. Like, I used to have like 500 bandit signs delivered to my house every 2 weeks.
Oh, and man.
Go put them out. And at that time, he had a call rail number. I don't even know if it was call rail, but there was a number on the sign that linked back to me, to where, like, if that sign was put up and they called that number back with interest in the home, like, it was my number that was assigned to me from putting up that sign, and he would know who to give credit to and who, for the follow-up and things like that. But shout out to all the people that are putting out bandit signs still. Because of my experience when first starting out, I will never put it out, put another one out. But it was interesting, man, because like there's not a college course in America that can teach me what that guy taught me, period. And there's nobody that can change my mind.
So it sounds like this mentor was really, really good at analyzing deals like this.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people will come to me and ask me, like, bro, I have a hard time analyzing deals. And I express to them, like, dude, you really have to just put in the work to understand how to just analyze it like that. Because I think analyzing a deal very quick, having something come across your desk and knowing if it's a deal or not within the first, like, 1, 2, 3 minutes is a crazy powerful thing to have. So if you were to give somebody advice, somebody that's fairly new, that is super overwhelmed, especially with creative finance, because it's a different type of analyzation, what would you tell them to do, like, now to go get good at analyzing deals?
Go driving for dollars and learn your neighborhoods. So that was what, like, set him apart. The dude could give me an ARV of a zip code, like neighborhoods and everything, without looking at it across almost all of DFW. And it was like, the advice he first gave me was like, man, you need to pick a 4 mile by 4 mile area. All right. And you need to learn that area and not move from that area until you know everything about all the neighborhoods in that area. And he could do this almost all over DFW. That's how cold he was with it and how much he knew the neighborhoods. And it's like, I think, Michael Zuber, who I believe that's his last name, I hope I said it right, who wrote One Rental at a Time.
Yeah.
That's kind of his thing as well. It's like, hey, learn your backyard first and everything about it, because then you'll know what's a deal. You know what ARVs are. You'll start to know, okay, this is the type of material that we need to put in this home in order to get the highest ARV based upon what other homes are selling for in that area. These are, this is an area that's gentrifying, so we can possibly do something better over here and get a little higher ARV. And so learn your backyard first before you start expanding out. But then on top of that, man, like, don't have analysis paralysis. Go fail. Go fall flat on your face. Go just fail as quickly as you possibly can, as often as you possibly can. And you take those failures and you put them into your experience category. You put those failures in your experience box, and before you know it, you don't have, a box of failures. You got a box of experience that you can then utilize and come back on to then, use for yourself and for others, and to know how to analyze different things better.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yo, so I mean, we all know you from real estate, right? Like you're obviously a legend in a lot of people's eyes, in my eyes for sure. But the past few months, bro, like I've been seeing you like jump on like lives with Marlon and Morning Mindset Coffee, and it seems like you really light up more when you're talking about like mindset and like
Oh man,
and like spirituality and stuff like that. And even today, right? I asked who's Don Rich, and the very first thing you said was child of God, right? How important is that, bro? Just to have that connection, just have that connection with the Most High and just with God and just everything.
man, I could go this whole episode talking about that on the real. But for me, everybody has a source, and you got to know who your source is and where your blessings come from. It ain't from you. It's not from you at all. And if you can understand where the source is and who your source is, you know who you can always go back to when you're feeling like you don't have the resources that you need. And
Yeah.
from that, man, it's extremely important. I poured into my kids, into my family, into everything, because I know without God, I am nothing. I live a great life, man. I enjoy it. I have a wonderful family. Business is fantastic, but I know that none of that was my own doing. I know that the people that were placed into my life, the resources that were placed into my life, the opportunities that were placed in my life, all come back to one root. And for me, that root is my God that I serve. And, again, everybody has their own higher power of who they go towards and pray to. But just believe in something, believe in something, believe in somebody, because that is extremely important.
So
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So question. With that being said, right? Like, I have a conversation with the highest power every morning.
Right.
And what it looks like for me is I essentially look at the higher power like my integrator.
Okay. All right. Okay.
His son is within me, giving me the energy to do it.
Right.
Whatever he wants me to go do with the integration, right? But I have conversations with him in the morning, and the conversations are along the lines of that. As like a visionary and integrator would have a conversation, like me and my business partner would have a conversation. That's right. The kind of conversations we have. So I'm curious to see what your conversations look like. If you have conversations, like what does that look like? And if it's too personal, whatever.
No,
but
not at all, man. Like I said, I'm not ashamed to talk about my beliefs and my faith, no whatsoever. For me, and this is like at its lowest common denominator, every thought that I have is a conversation with God. Whether I'm telling him I believe in something that's going to come into my life because of him, or I'm saying something negative and saying, hey, I'm doubting my faith a little bit. I got some doubts in my mind right now, and my faith is swaying a little bit as a result of it. And take this negative thought away from me. Take this thought out of my head as quickly as possible, please. And when you're sitting there and you're talking to yourself, man, it's like you're not talking to yourself. You think you are, but you're having that conversation, man, with your higher power, with the intellect that he's put into you. You know that, okay, these thoughts, these words that I'm hearing, this voice that I'm hearing within my head to go out and do something, especially on the positive side of things, that ain't just my originating thought. That thought is being put into me from somewhere, from somebody. And if you start to recognize that those positive thoughts, those thoughts of forward moving action, those thoughts of prosperity, those thoughts of overcoming adversity, that they come from your higher power, not yourself, you start to operate a little bit differently. Whenever you are moving along in your journey, you start to have a little bit more confidence, a little bit more swag in what you're doing, because you understand where those thoughts are coming from.
Bro, yes, yo, 1,000%, bro. Yo, I just hired Keston as my high performance coach. Right?
Good job.
So, yeah, it's been life changing already. We've had 2 sessions, and we've had 3 sessions, but on the second one, right, I told him, because like, and I'm extremely transparent, right? Like I'm still working on my relationship with God and my connectivity, right? Like it's not the best where it needs to be. Like some days I'll wake up and then like I'm just getting straight to business. Like I may forget to pray sometimes, right? And that's because like I'll wake up late and all that good stuff, and it's not right, right? That's something that I'm constantly working on a daily basis. And I told him, like, I'm like, yo, sometimes I feel like I don't know how to pray, right? So he gave me like a blueprint to follow. That's the sauce. I ain't gonna give you all the sauce.
All right.
we can talk about it. But
beans or what?
My boy said he had to pay for that sauce. He ain't giving it out for free.
He gave me the blueprint to follow when I pray, right? And I because I told him before, I'm like, yo, I feel like sometimes I'm just talking to myself. I'm like, I hear people talk about they having conversations with God all the time. And then like, I feel like when I talk, it's just me. And he's like, well, bro, sometimes you need to know when to shut up. And I'm like, that's real. That makes a lot of sense. He's like, how can he hear you? How can you hear him when you're talking the whole time?
Right.
And I'm like, man.
That's funny. This just helped me out, bro, because Dom, what you just said, kind of clarified in my mind that it's not just a conversation in the morning. That conversation keeps going throughout the whole entire day.
All day.
Because the conversation in the morning kind of is the conversations that I have with myself during the day. I just wasn't realizing that it was the higher power throughout the whole entire day. That is so interesting. So how did you get there? Like, how did you get to this point? Is this something that Don Rich was instilled with as a kid, or?
Man, I had very much a faith-based foundation growing up. I went to private school, pre-K3 through 8th grade, went to private school again for college. And for me outside, I went astray, but because of that foundation, you know, I came back. But it was one of those things, man, where certain things happen in your life and you get through certain things. You have no choice whatsoever but to acknowledge that wasn't me. Like, ain't no way I brought myself out of that on my own. That wasn't me. And you know, I've been completely sober for over 2 years now, and that was something that I struggled with. You know what I'm saying? Alcohol was one of my struggles, one of my nemesis, and being able to break those chains of addiction and get through that wasn't me, because if left to my own devices, I still have a can in my hand right now. You know, so I recognize that to get to that point of being one with God, or trying to be, you know, one with God as much as you possibly can, or working on that relationship, that takes a level of understanding. Like, I gotta go through some things and get put into some situations that only He can bring me out of. And once you go through some of those situations, man, you start to recognize that presence in everything else. You start to see it in other people. You start to see it when you're driving. You start to see it when you're talking on the phone with people. And the more you start to recognize it because of things that you've gone through in your own life, the easier it is to start recognizing it in others. But on top of that, the easier it is to start forgiving. You know, once you recognize that you've been forgiven and you've forgiven yourself for certain things, you start to not hold things so tightly to the chest. You start to not, you know, have a point in your life where you're just like, oh, I'm gonna hold a grudge against that person. Why? They don't know it. Yep. They don't care. You know, like, all you're doing is making your own self a prisoner in your own heart. And once you let small stuff go, and again, you recognize that you can't take yourself out of certain situations, that somebody else took it out of you, then at that point, man, you're at a point of a level of growth in your life that you recognize that only God could have put there for you. And you start to look for that in everybody, and the energy within you starts to change. Like you guys will hear me say all the time, you know, if you talk to Marlon, you talk to Keston, you'll hear them say that I say, protect your energy.
Yeah.
At all cost. Protect your energy at all costs, man, because like if you don't, then you're just inviting different things in there. And that protecting your energy goes all the way back to what you say out of your mouth. Man, words are boomerangs. You know, words are boomerangs, and I don't care how far you throw that out there, it's gonna come back to you. So you need to pay attention to your thoughts, your words, everything, and again, always look for the greater good in everybody and everything that you come across, and look for the God in those people.
Yo, I love that, because like before I was on this journey, I was one to like just look at somebody and just like talk shit in my head, right? Like
who doesn't?
Yeah,
that's your ego talking though, not your soul.
Exactly.
That's good.
That's real. It's your ego, not your soul. And it's like, and I do want to hit on the point that you were talking about too, like, because I'm a firm believer in you're not going to change unless you hit rock bottom, right? Like you got to hit rock bottom, and once you realize that it is God pulling you out, it's a higher power pulling you out. You're not going to pull yourself out of there, because, like you said, if it was up to you, you still have that can in your hand. If it was up to me, I'd be sitting in the living room playing video games and smoking weed all day, right? Like it's not up to you, right? It's not up to you. You got to hit rock bottom, and you got to find that higher power to pull you up, and that's so big, bro.
And I wouldn't even say, man, that you have to hit rock bottom, but you have to hit a certain point where the person in the mirror either ain't who you like to see, or somebody you don't recognize.
Yep.
Can you talk about that with your addiction? Like, what was
man. So it for me, you know, a lot of it was I gained a ton of weight, obviously, from drinking and then late night eating. And man, my whole life I had been told by different people that, you know, had what I felt was a direct connection to God, old school people in the church, people that were within my community, like, hey, you're going to do something special. Like, hey, you're bound for greatness, you know, just prophesizing great things on my life. And it got to a point where everything that I was doing, everything that I was going through, you know, personally, and a lot of it stemmed from childhood traumas that I've discussed and now overcame with my CEO coach. So that was able to help pull all of that out of me, to recognize where the root of all of this was. And, you know, I got to the point where one day I'm just looking at myself, at my family, and like, you know, my wife doesn't deserve this. My kids deserve a much better father. You know, my employees deserve a much better leader or manager or boss, you know. And everybody around me deserves better than what I'm giving them. And most importantly, I deserve better. You know, I deserve better than what I'm giving me. I have a ton of talent and I'm wasting it. And, you know, sometimes, man, like as a man, there's not many times that you may break down and, you know, crying from recognizing that you don't recognize yourself. But that's a transformational time in a man's life. And, you know, for me, it was like, I remember I came in one night. I was literally in my front yard drunk. And I came in to my wife, and I even had my parents on the phone. And I just broke down crying. I was like, I'm an alcoholic. I got an issue. Like, I need help fixing it. And I've tried different things on my own, but that's not going to work. And at that point, man, I think that was probably the most serious that I took it in my life. And since that day, I haven't had a single drink. I've become a much better husband, a much better father, a much better businessman. Man, I had, you know, even when, you know, going through alcoholism and things, like, man, I had real estate companies that I literally like drove into the ground because everything would be going so well and, just escalating up the way that it needed to. And of course I had to celebrate, when things are going well, you got to celebrate. And at that time, when you're used to celebrating one way, you go and you celebrate hard. And I would do that. And from there, it'd be like a downward spiral because then the next day I needed to get over a hangover. How do I get over a hangover? Well, the celebration seemed to work. Let me, so let me celebrate again. Let me do the same thing that I did. And before you know it, man, I'd be on a week binge. And the Wednesday night meeting I was supposed to have on my team, I'm canceling it. Why? Because I already have a buzz and I need to get the rest of the way there. And you start seeing these trends within your life that you're like, all right. I look back and I'm like, man, I really screwed that up. Like I messed that one up completely. And now I'm at a point where it's like, I have no desire for it whatsoever. I drink a lot of Bang energy drinks. That's as close to it as I'm gonna get right now. And from there, man, you just start changing your own mindset. I read the fact that the difference between people that earn over 200,000 and the people that earn less than 200,000 a year have a library in their house. All right. So I gave up Xbox, PlayStation, all that stuff, and I exchanged that with the library. Now I got probably 200 plus books in my physical library, and Lord knows how many on my virtual and on Audible and stuff. And that time that I would spend drinking, I turned that around and I started turning that into learning, and I started reading books on mindset, on energy, on changing your life, on personal growth, personal development, on real estate, on other people's money. And little by little, I would take different things from those books and just start immediately applying it to my life, but then also turning around and trying to immediately teach it to somebody, because that's when you have it. Yeah. Like reading it is one thing and taking it in is one thing, but reading it, taking it in, and then turning right around and teaching it to somebody else, that is when it really sticks for you. And that was an important thing for me to do. It's like, all right, let me go teach this to somebody else. I know my wife probably gets annoyed as hell sometimes because like I'll be talking about certain things or preaching about certain things that I just read, and I just got to teach it to somebody real quick. I got to talk to somebody about it real quick about what I read about, what I learned. So I'll hit Kesson if he's not available, text Marlon or something like that if he's not available, text my partner John, see what's up with him. And I got to get it out, man. I got to teach somebody because that way it just sticks in my mind. And from there, it was just elevated growth. It became, okay, how many books can I read in a month? All right, how much can I take away? How quickly can I go and teach this to somebody else? Like, what are some of the things from these books? Because you're not going to, here's the thing, you're not going to take every exercise, every practice from every book you read. Some of them get repetitive. Some of them, they do the same thing slightly different ways. But you got to take, the breadcrumbs from each of them and make your own loaf and figure out what out of this book, what one or two practices that I'm going to commit to. That's the other thing. It's like, don't take everything because you're not going to commit to doing everything out those books. You're not. You're going to set yourself up for failure if you try to do that, because that entire book and all the exercises in it were not made specifically for you. It's typically a wide range of things that are made for different personalities, and they want you to grab, something that's going to be impactful in your life that not only that you can do, but you can make a commitment to continuously doing. And like, I love the Miracle Morning. That is something that is easy to do. That book is simple. It's an easy read. And then it gives you an acronym to follow with it. So SAVERS. Every successful person has a morning routine that they do consistently. So in the book, the Miracle Morning, that acronym SAVER stands for silence, 10 minutes of silence for you. A, affirmations, 10 minutes of affirmations. V, visualization, 10 minutes of visualization where you're sitting there and like, I actually listen to classical music when I'm visualizing, simply because that puts my mind in a different space. Then you go to E, exercise. You probably expand that out to like 30 minutes. R, reading. So get you a book, whether it's audio book or a physical book, and read for 10 to 15, 20 minutes. You can do that whole routine in like an hour and a half every morning And it's something that gets your mind, body, and spirit in the place where it needs to be in order to perform in the way that you need to perform that day. You know, you want to take it back even further. They got the 4 maps of happy, successful people by Robert G. Allen. You know, immediately, like whenever he was on Pace's show that time, I immediately after that, like, man, I got to go dive even deeper into this guy. And so I ordered that book. And I'm reading through it. I'm like, man, this is extremely elementary, but extremely, extremely helpful to where like I can see now a very clear path of what I need to be doing. I can see the obstacles that are in my way. I know the learning curves that I'm gonna have to go through, and I know the anticipation map and anticipating the sudden storms and the other things that I know are going to be obstacles for me today. Identify them up front. And after I identify them up front, now it's not a surprise because I got a game plan, because it doesn't feel like I'm just getting attacked. Now, I expected it to come. So now I've put up a defense against it.
Yep.
And from there, I can take the offensive right after and keep marching forward, man. But all of that kind of channeled into me wanting to focus on mindset and energy, because without it, you're useless. You know, you're a talking box at that point that doesn't believe the shit you're saying. So
that's real. Yo, so you're going through this journey, right? You traded the bottle for books, right? And now you're reading on a regular basis, right? You still have friends that you were hanging out with on a regular basis that I'm sure they're still trying to get you to come out. Maybe even family who doesn't know the new Don or know the journey that you're on your way to being. How do you deal with that?
So simple. I get rid of people that want me to do things that they know I'm against, or that they know I'm trying not to do anymore. If I've told you where I've been and I tell you where I'm trying to go, and we in the car together riding, and you try to get me to take a U-turn and go back to where I was, get your ass out the car.
I'm gonna drop you off, dog.
You know, you can catch Uber back there. I'm not going backwards.
Right.
So that comes along with that energy, man. You have to you have to recognize and understand that as you continue to progress, some of the people that were in your life are probably not going to be in your life on this next journey, on this next chapter. And you got to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that. Anybody that's trying to get you to go back to what you were doing, and after you tell them no one time, they continue to pester, that person doesn't have your best interest at heart for what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. And with that being the case, that might be a place that they're stuck in, you know? And so like they want some company. They feel like they lost a passenger in their drunk journey or whatever journey it is that they own. And they trying to get you to come back into the car, man. And you gotta realize that you got to let some of those people go, whether it be friends, whether it be family, whether it be colleagues. It doesn't matter. Like if their, GPS guide is leading you in the wrong direction from where your destination is, let them out, bro, or get out.
Literally just gonna tell you, bro, that you have a non-negotiable GPS.
Period.
Like you go on your GPS and you type in an address and it gives you like 3 different routes. No, in Don's world, it's just one route, and you can't press end.
No,
you can't turn around. You're going that way,
right? at all.
Go ahead.
No, you good, bro.
It's so crazy that we're having this conversation right now, because I swear this morning, right? I was thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, how did I get to the point where I'm at? Because I would say probably about 5 years ago, I was in Don's position, fat, drinking all the time, and just in a miserable position, right?
Right.
And I can remember, I was thinking this morning, I'm like, yo, what was the day that something just switched? And it was one day I can remember, I literally showed up drunk as shit to football practice. And then after that, I went to sleep and I woke up with the worst hangover I ever had in my life. Literally worst hangover I ever had, where I thought that I was going to go to the hospital. Woke up the next day and I looked in the mirror and I'm just nasty. I'm fat. I'm just like looking at myself like, yo, what are you doing, dog? And from there, the next day I got on the treadmill, never really ran before in my life. And I just started running. And that was one thing that really changed my life. And from there, I didn't really look back. And there's a couple of things that got instilled in me that made me not look back. But I'm curious to see what Don Rich does, or what he thinks about, or what he has in place to make him not go back to that place.
Man, on my mirror in my master bedroom is a list of 10 affirmations. I say them every morning. I say them every night. I don't even need to look at them. I know what they are by heart. And those aren't just affirmations. Those are self-commitments. And I take them extremely, extremely seriously and recognize that those are different parts of my destination that I'm trying to get to. And I can't turn around it. But the other thing is, man, is I don't know if you guys have read the book, The Gap and the Gain. And if you haven't, I highly, highly suggest you guys pick that one up quickly.
What is it called one more time?
The Gap and the Gain. The Gap and the Gain. Same authors who wrote Who Not How.
Okay.
And so I learned to start living life in the gain. So with that, man, as entrepreneurs, as people that are always pressuring themselves, always trying to achieve more, accomplish more, do more, get to that next goal or whatever that might be for you, you're always looking at life as, I'm not there yet. Like, man, I got so much further to go. Like, man, this, this is cool. Like I accomplished this goal, but now I got that one. I got to go get after that one. And you're always pushing the finish line back, and because of that, you're always thinking that you need stuff that you may not need. You are going after things and not feeling that you're accomplished enough. And once you feel like that, it's easy to go backwards on your ways. All right. It's easy to revert back to old stuff because you're like, oh, this sucks, man. I'm not where I need to be yet. And so you revert back to old habits because that feels good. That's your comfort zone. That's your thermometer, your internal thermometer being set on 72. And while your temperatures rise and you're going forward, you might break back down and get back to your normal temperature of 72. Your internal temperature start doing things that you used to do before that would put you in situations where, you didn't want to be. So measure life backwards. Instead, turn around and don't look at how much further you have to go. Turn around and be like, man, I came a long ass way. Like, I remember when I was an alcoholic sitting on my couch, not doing much of nothing. And now here I am. We have several different companies. We have, everything working in our direction. Like 6 months ago, I wasn't here. 3 months ago, I wasn't here. And you start to learn to measure your wins in life instead of measuring how much further you have to go. And once you start to learn how to measure life in terms of the wins that you've already accomplished and how far you've come, it helps you to never turn around, because now you're not looking at like, oh man, like 15 million is way ahead for this year. 20 million is way ahead for this year. You look back and you're like, man, we halfway through and we had, X amount of million or so for the year so far. We got different divisions within our company. We got a nonprofit organization. We got all this stuff that is going and working well. And like, I wasn't even here 2 months ago. I wasn't here 3 months ago. And it helps you to be like, okay, keep going, but let's not forget all that I've accomplished so far, all that I've done so far. So learn to measure life backwards and see how far you've come instead of measuring forward and seeing how much further you have to go and be like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to go back to my old ways because I'm already there and that's comfortable.
Bro, not only does that stop you from like turning around and going backwards, but I think that actually propels you going forward, right? Because we're always talking about you're chasing a feeling, right? And if you're just constantly reminding yourself about the success you've had and where you came from, right? It's bringing more success your way, right? Because you're feeling that success. So that's awesome. But bro, I want to be respectful of your time, and I do want to talk about real estate as well.
Let's do it.
Because this is going to be a little selfish of me, because I have a lot of questions. I'm not going to lie. And I don't know if you've seen, but I'm doing a challenge right now where I'm going on live on YouTube every day. So I scale my business to 10 deals a month consistently.
All right.
And bro, I feel like my biggest issue right now is I don't want to say employees because I know it's always something that I can do better, right? But
Right.
at the same time, it's like I don't know what I can do better. And that was actually a conversation a conversation I had with Kesson, and he told me to reach out to you. And it's like once you get to a point, right, where I scaled myself out of like having to make calls on a regular, like I'm not on the phone pounding the phones all day. I have a team doing that for me.
Right.
So I spend a lot of my time now underwriting deals, and like I talk to private lenders and wholesalers here and there, not as much as I want to. But then it's like I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm not doing enough. Like I don't know what to do now. Like now that I scaled myself out of the fact that I'm on the calls 8 hours a day, I feel like I'm just wasting time now, just sitting here confident underwriting deals for the team. Like, you have any advice on that? Like
I do, man. Let me ask you this: do you have an accountability chart for your company?
No.
Okay, so a couple different things. Well, man, first and foremost, you have to understand what you are to your business.
Right.
Okay. So let me ask you this, and this was asked to me by my coach. And the question is, are you a manager or are you a leader? Which one are you?
I'm a leader, but right now I'm acting as a manager.
Incorrect. So this whole time I've been in business, I've thought that I was a leader. Okay. Now, when you look and you think about a leader and what goes into being a leader, you're the person out front. You're doing it first. You're showing people the way and doing things that need to be done. And you find yourself perpetually in a position where you are making all the calls. You are underwriting and comping and things like that because you're the leader for that team. But when you look at scaling and getting bigger and having other employees and things like that on your squad, you got to realize you're a manager, and your job as a manager is to manage leaders and coach leaders on your team and give them all the tools that they need. So you're a manager of talent and you're a manager of leaders. My job within my company is to go and find the best talent possible to lead the rest of my team, because I know if I'm consistently out there, finding talent and finding people that could be in seats that I was once in, that frees me up to be able to go start other businesses, to be able to go and do other ventures that I'm a part of and dedicate myself more to that. So that was a hard lesson for me to learn, because I was like, no, like I can lead from the front. Like, you put me on the phone with any seller, I'm gonna close it down. I'll close the revolving door. Like, and you have to like get to a point where you understand, like, okay, if I'm trying to scale, then I can't possibly be in all these seats. And so the reason I asked you if you had an accountability chart is because you can map out all the seats that need to be filled within your company. Okay. You start putting names in those seats to see who in your company fills them right now. And for every seat that your name is in, that you're doing that role, it's your job to put a timeline on when you will not be in that seat anymore. So that's going to force you then to go and train, hire, direct somebody else to be in that seat, taking over, doing those things for you and for your company. And the moment that, or not the moment, but the more you try to retain that seat, the less you're going to scale. Because now you're feeling like you have to do everything, and you're wanting to do everything, whether it be an ego thing because you know how to do it and you want to show people, like, I know I can close, but I don't care about it. Like, I don't care about being the top closer or something like that, man. Like, what I do care about is having my time back, and I can't have my time back if I'm sitting in these seats. What I do care about is starting vertical businesses within it. Like, that's why we bought ownership in the title company, and I was like, I can't do that fully if I'm sitting in multiple seats within this company. Right. So for you, man, you just kind of have to figure out, like, okay, how many seats am I in right now? Who do I currently have on my team that could possibly fill those seats that I'm doing? And what is the date that I need to write out the commitment to myself and to my team that I will no longer be in this seat and somebody else will hold this seat? The other good thing about the accountability chart is that your entire team can see it. You want to You want to make sure your entire team sees the accountability chart, because from there, then you start to figure out who they go to within the company. So now not all questions are coming to you. You can direct them. If they have a question about acquisitions and you're no longer in the acquisition seat, you put somebody else there. Now they come to you with that question. You're like, no, that's John over there. That's Josh over there. Josh is actually in that seat. Go ask Josh first. If Josh don't know the answer, then Josh comes to you.
Yeah.
And then you have 3 categories of things. Tell me before, tell me after, don't tell me at all. All right. So
that down.
once you're starting to scale even more, you start to figure out, okay, look here, this is something that you need to tell me before you do it. This is something that you need to tell me after you do it. And this is something you can do it. I don't care. I don't need to know it all.
Yeah.
You want to get to a point where more and more things are falling into the tell me after and don't tell me at all category. Because then it's just operating without you. And you know all of it is going well. And so you'll have a list. Everything will obviously start in the tell me before category until you get comfortable enough with that person and managing that talent and managing that leader to where you're like, they don't need me. They can tell me after. Like, it's something to celebrate about. Excellent. Tell me about it. It was a problem that happened. You fixed it. Excellent. Tell me after.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the point again where it's like, look, I didn't even need to know about that. You fixed it. Excellent. I didn't need to know about it. And that's kind of a measurement from a scale perspective of how much stuff is still in the tell me before box, how much stuff is in the tell me after, and how much stuff is in the don't tell me at all. And then what are your core values? You know, what are your company's core values? Ours is loyalty, attitude, accountability, and drive. You got to make sure that you have your core values down and impacting, that your entire team knows what those core values are in and out. And then you want to see the people that you're hiring, like, okay, when it comes to hiring based on our company's core values, to make sure that you're a right fit for us. Let me ask you, who are the 3 most influential people in your life? And get them people to tell you that, you know, who they are. And then you want to know, okay, like write down 4 or 5 words and describe them to me of why they're the most influential people in your life. All right. And from there, I want you to circle 1 or 2 of those words out of each person that's the most important to you. And you do that exercise with somebody, and they're going to tell you their core values. They're going to tell you why they, you know, are why those 3 people are the most important people in their life, because that's going to match up directly with their core values. And then you take that and you see how well does it match up with your company core values, to make sure that you're putting the right person in the right seat to be able to take yourself out of seats to be able to then scale the way you want to.
Holy crap. So what would you tell Daryl to do next? Once he gets there, right? Like once he's really starting to crank and he's scaling his business and he is in the other 2 categories of questions with all his employees, what would you tell him to do next? How does he figure out which route to go as far as which business to grow next or which venture to go on?
So, I mean, that's kind of going to depend on what you're going after in life. You know, what is it? Is it time or is it freedom? I mean, is it money? Is it freedom? Is it time? Is it, you know, what are you going after in life? And what do you have a passion behind? What is something that you would do for free, even if you know, went out and did it? So for me, I know I'm very, very passionate about real estate, but real estate is the vehicle.
Yeah.
For me, real estate is the vehicle. I'm more passionate about, you know, public speaking. I'm more passionate about, you know, uplifting people, and for, like, that's why, you know, things like this, it allows me to come in and kind of speak my truth and you know, talk what's on my mind, what goes on up here, the conversations that I have more often. I share a lot of this stuff with Kez and with Marlon already, but, you know, I feel that I have a lot to say. I feel that God has blessed me with a voice that, you know, that can bring hope to the hopeless, and that can take somebody that's in despair and, you know, make them feel like, hey, I can go another day. I can do something else. And so from the real estate realm, I'll ask you, what is something that after you get your wholesale operation going and working and fully operational the way you want to, where you're not sitting in many of the seats or any of the seats, what is that next thing for you that you are passionate about? Is it going to be buying and holding? Do you want to be a landlord? You know, do you want to be a developer? Do you want to go out and build new neighborhoods? Do you want to go into a point where you're doing multifamily? Like, what for you, what is the next thing that you're passionate about, even if it's not real estate? Even if it's not real estate, what is that for you?
Yo, me personally, I don't know if that was the question, but me personally, I want to buy a lot of properties. I want to hold a lot of properties, and something kind of similar to you. Like I see myself being on a lot of stages, influencing a lot of people, helping a lot of people out, and just like telling my story, speaking my truth, and just really pointing people in the right direction. Right?
Why do you want to do that?
Because I wish I had that more when I was going through a lot of stuff. Like I had to actually go out and find it. Right? I want to be in everybody's face and make sure it's there. Like, no, you don't have an excuse now.
So it was something that was missing from your life, that was a void, that now that you're doing this and you're in this space, you want to make sure that that's not a void for anybody else.
Exactly. And kind of like you were saying earlier, like I like teaching, like I like teaching stuff to other people, right? Like I've always been one to, like, when I played football, I used to have, like, I played college football, D2 football. I used to have team meetings with just the linebackers, right? And just me and the linebackers, and I'm teaching the playbook, teaching everything, right? Okay. So once I learn something, I have to teach it to somebody, and that helps me learn, right? So that's another reason I feel like I need to be on stages and help as many people as possible, just teaching everything that I'm learning and just applying and putting in motion.
So with that being the case, man, you know, you want to go into more of the buy and hold, where you're going to get appreciation, you're going to get depreciation, you're going to get all the tax benefits, the cash flow, and things with it. You know, in that sense, like, you're in a perfect space with starting out on the wholesale side of things, because that's exactly where I started out with. But then the beautiful part of wholesaling is that you get to cherry pick.
Yeah.
So you get stuff, you get to see, all right, like, hold on, time out, like, that deal look kind of good, like, it don't need much stuff to it, and it comes a point where you got to be willing to give up the bigger check, that right now check, and be like, you know what, $300, $400, $500, $600 a month coming in every single month on this property is a whole lot better than, you know, just that $1, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 check. And so what I encourage you to do in that sense is have a number in your head, okay, that once you get to that number in cash per month, whether it be check, you know, from checks, everything else after that you'll analyze to keep.
Okay.
Nothing before that, though, because you want to be, you want to have your operational expenses and things down. But for us, it's 300,000. Once we get to 300,000 in a month, then we start analyzing. Okay, like, let's start keeping some stuff. We made the cash that we want for the month. Now let's start keeping some things for ourselves. Let's start adding more to the portfolio now that we got the cash side of it out of the way.
I like that.
And so just come up with that number for yourself. Like, if you know that you're comfortable with $50,000 and earning $50,000 in that month, well, then after you hit that 50,000, now it's time to start analyzing every deal to see if you want to add that to your portfolio, because you've already hit your cash reserve number for the month.
I like that. That's awesome, bro. That was a masterclass answer. You honestly answered a lot of questions that I had with that one question, that one answer, bro.
Really?
So much.
That just helped me out a ton. Me and Daryl are kind of on the same page with. We're kind of like at the same exact spot.
Okay.
Like, trying to grow our team and wanting to do similar things. We have different types of businesses and different types of models, but like in the same realm, in the same position, kind of. So I'm dealing with this, literally the same exact thing Daryl just asked, I would have asked myself. So every answer that you just gave, Daryl, helped me out a ton. And earlier on, you helped me out a ton too. So I appreciate you, bro.
Man, definitely my pleasure, man. And the other thing is, man, I want you guys to understand the currency that is required to buy money. Okay. And once I learned and kind of got this, I was like, I never kind of looked back. Wealthy people pay a different price for money than non-wealthy people. They actually pay a lower price for money so they can afford more of it and get more of it. Poor people non-wealthy people pay a higher price for money, therefore they can get less of it. So you're probably wondering, like, what the hell are you talking about, bro? The cost and currency required for money is what you pay attention to and who and what you spend your time on and with. It has the words in there, pay and spend. What you pay attention to and who and what you spend your time with and on determines your cost of money. So for me, I'm very particular about what I pay attention to. I'm very particular about who and what I spend my time on. Because ultimately, if I'm spending it with the right people, if I'm paying attention to the right things, I learn shortcuts. I learn other disciplines. I learn ways to make the cost of money lower because now I'm in different circles. Now I'm in different rooms that they're talking about different secrets, different things that really ain't a secret. It's just that not everybody's paying attention to it. Not everybody's spending their time and on it and with those people. So therefore, as a result, they pay more for money. So, you know, if there's anything I can tell you guys is watch what you pay attention to and watch who and what you spend your time on and with, because that's going to determine your cost of money if it's high or low and how much of it you can get.
Bro, and if y'all listening, right? Like, this is something that you just pulled out, right? This is science. This is how your body works. Your reticular activating, what's M? What's the M?
Something in my leg over here.
Yeah, and my let's talking about it, right?
Yeah.
What you pay attention to, what you spend your time on, what and who you spend your time on is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get more of it. Like when you're going to buy a blue Honda, right? You just bought a blue Honda, now you see blue Hondas all over the street, right? It's not like they just popped up. They've always been there. You're just now paying attention to it. You're now focusing on it, and it's gonna come. And otherwise, if you're paying attention and focusing on negativity and other things, that's what's gonna come. So, yo, that's important. Yo, I like to end these podcasts with two questions, bro.
All right.
The first one is, we already heard one of your goals for the year, that the 15 million a year. Yep. What else is next? What are your goals for the rest of this year?
You know, man, I've several of them, but if I had to narrow it down, right now, you know, Kez and I and John are really, really big in the flipping cancer space and our nonprofit and what we're doing with that. And so the ability to increase the amount of flips that we're doing in order to continuously give back to cancer patients that are you know, needing money for lodging, for travel, for medication, for holistic treatment as well. The goal is to, you know, get as many properties as we can in the Georgia area, because that's what we're focusing on for our flips for flipping cancer. Get as many properties flipped as we can to help as many people as we possibly can, and ultimately make flipping cancer a national brand, a national, you know, household name that people can get behind, whether through donations, whether through selling us their house, whether through, you know, listing different patients or family members that are going through, so that we can be a help to them, man. Because again, you know, God has blessed us tremendously. So you get to a point where, you know, your philanthropic side, you know, has to come out, because it's like these blessings ain't for you.
Yep.
You know, they're for you to be, they're a vessel. You know, you're the vessel in which these blessings flow through, and to be able to impact people on something that is near and dear to all of our hearts. It's up there, you know, as my number 2 goal here for the year.
I love that. We actually had, go ahead, Mike.
No, I just wanted to mention that program is so dope. Keston came on here and was talking about it, and I was like, bro, that's some powerful shit, dog. Like,
yeah, man.
That thing
didn't we confirm that we both got a couple flips going on, and we're gonna donate some money to it?
That's a fact. Yes.
Yo, much appreciation.
I got mine. Mine is going on the market next week, actually.
Okay.
So I forgot what Keston said to do, but how do we if we want to donate money from our flips, a percentage of our flips into flipping cancer, how do we do that? How do we go?
You can go to flippingcancer.org, FLIPPIN cancer.org, and you can go to the donate page, and you can donate. You can donate direct. Yeah, you can donate directly from there, and it goes into our nonprofit thing. We'll get you a receipt out as well, so that you can file that for your taxes, for your write-off from there. But yeah, flippingcancer.org would be the best place to go, and that goes the same for, like, if you have a family member that is battling cancer that needs some help, like, submit your story to us on there as well, so that we can go through it and try to get, if you're one of the people that we select, try to get you guys the help that you need, get something out to you, man. But it's fun to work on something that's like 1,000 times bigger than you. The mission is 1,000 times bigger than you. The purpose of it behind it is 1,000 times bigger than you. And to work on it with people that you care and love about, care about and love, as a brother, makes it even better.
I gotta really get up with y'all because I have some family members dealing with cancer, and I'm running a marathon October 8th.
Run a mile for me.
Yeah, I've never ran a marathon before. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just signed up for it. And Marlon gave me the idea to do like a nonprofit, right? And donate, like raise money, like every mile or whatever, raise some money and donate it. So maybe that's something we can collab on, bro. Do like
talk to me offline, bro. We can definitely get together on that.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, and then this the last question that I got, bro. What is one question that you wish we asked that we didn't ask you today?
Oh, man, that's a good one.
That's why we save it for last.
Man, you guys, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that right now, man. That's a really good question. Yeah, I don't know, man. You guys asked some great questions, and I kind of went off on some tangents that might have hit on some stuff that would be a question. But I kind of hit it on the tangents that I went on, which I do often. My apologies. My mind just starts going, and the words just start coming out.
Do not apologize at all.
Maybe this. There's probably something this morning. Don knew that he was coming on here. There's probably something this morning where Don was like, yo, there's some crazy energy in me, and I can't wait to say this on the podcast. There had to have been one thing that you wish that you could have said because of a question or something like that, maybe to give out to the world.
Yeah, man. When it comes to manifesting, all right, when it comes to projecting visions within your life, all right, you have to go back and get your 5 and 6 year old imagination. Okay, because here's what happens at some point in your life, at some point, some teacher, some adult, some older figure said something to you that took away your imagination. They took away that childlike belief that you could do anything, you could be anything, you could achieve anything. They took it away from you. And oftentimes we find ourselves as an adult in a perpetual cycle of never getting it back, ever getting it back. And so now you're stuck in a box. You're stuck at a job that you don't like because somebody back in the 5th grade told you couldn't be something that you wanted to be. So you took this education prison path and went and, decided to confine yourself to a cubicle or whatever it is that you're in life because somebody took away your imagination. They took away that drive, that inner vision within you to go out and be who you want it to be, what you want it to be, however you want it to be. So as you get older, you start to learn that, imagination is the same thing as manifestation. We just call it something different when we get older. It's just a different word. And have y'all? I don't know if you guys are even old enough, but have you seen the movie Hook, Captain Hook with Peter Pan and stuff like that? Where
Yeah,
1990s movie.
Yeah.
And I always go back and think of a scene from the Lost Boys, you know, where they're sitting there at the table and Robin Williams at the time is trying to become Peter Pan and he's doing everything he can. And they're at this dinner and there's nothing in these bowls, guys. They're at this dinner. There's literally nothing in these bowls. And these Lost Boys are sitting there imagining that it's an entire feast. And they're thinking happy thoughts. And their number one fear was growing up. It was growing up because you lose your imagination. You lose that childlike vision that you once had, that you can see anything, be anything, do anything. Okay. And it wasn't until Robin Williams couldn't fly. He couldn't be Peter Pan and fly until he got that childlike imagination back and was able to see things that weren't there, that nobody else saw, that other adults didn't see, go out and be things that he said that he could be, that nobody else saw or nobody thought he could see. And once he started thinking those happy thoughts and using that imagination again, or in this sense, that manifestation, he started achieving again. He could fly again. So a lot of people have lost their wings. They lost their fairy dust that allowed them to fly. Somebody took it from them at a young age. Do everything in your life that you can to get that fairy dust back. All right. To be able to use that childlike imagination to start manifesting things again in your life so that now you can go back and start to fly in your life in the direction that you want to fly. And nobody can tell you shit. Nobody can tell you what you can't do, who you can't be. None of that. Because you know that if you see it, you want it, you believe it, you're going to get it. So if you think back in your life, if you're sitting there listening to this right now and you don't have that, I want you to think back in your life and I want you to go back to that moment where some teacher, some adult, some authority figure took away your imagination from you and your ability to think that you can do whatever it is that you wanted to do. And the good thing about our past and about our thoughts is that we have the power to perceive them however we want. People that are still down and upset about past traumas, it's because of the way that they are perceiving those past traumas to be in their life right now. I have used now all of my past life traumas as stepping stones. I transformed how I thought about my past and looked at every issue that happened, everything that went on. And I now look at that as like, man, let me tell you what that moment did for me.
Yep.
So I want you to go back in your thought process, figure out who that person was, transform that past thought, call that person a liar. Don't let them speak on your life and limit it. And then I want you to take that one instance and take every past thought now that was a trauma in your life, and I want you to start utilizing it to see how it helped you. How it helped you, where it got you here to today, and how you can use it for your betterment instead of using it as a tool to continue holding you down and thinking what you can't do. So just have some childlike imagination, man, and watch things start manifesting in your life.
Boom, that was fire, dog.
So good, bro. Oh my gosh. Yo, I want to keep talking about that, but I know, like I said, I want to be respectful of your time, bro. I want to be respectful of your time. This was an awesome podcast, bro. We always joke on Wholesale Hard Knocks. This is the wholesaling podcast where we never talk about wholesaling. We never. Conversations are always just so good, bro. And today I learned so much. I feel your energy right now, bro. It's like you just threw your energy right at me and Mike today. And everybody watching, if y'all are not watching every single weekend, make sure y'all watch this episode like 5 times. Go back and rewind it. Keep watching it. Pause it. Make sure you write some notes because Don Rich dropped some gems on us today. Gems, bro. Yo, so how does somebody get in contact with you, bro? How does somebody do business with you? How does somebody reach out to you if they really like have a fire smoking opportunity for you?
Man, so for the most part, like my team handles everything. Mm-hmm. And eventually it'll get up to me if it needs to. But you can hit me on IG at drich409, and I'll direct you. If it's something that we want to look at, I'll direct you to one of my team members that would handle that. You can send things over to. Actually, I gotta look at the link. I'll give you a link because I don't even have it in front of me.
Okay.
That you'll be if people want to submit deals or something like that, that'll go directly to my team. That you can shoot out later on there, and I'll post it. I'll post it as well. But if I haven't shot that link out yet, then just hit me on IG. And
bro, I think I know your link, bro, because they say
well, it's changed. It recently, recently changed. That's why I don't know it off the top of my head, because our developer recently changed everything with it, because we did some upgrades and stuff to our CRM. And so I'll shoot it over to you, man, because I don't even. It's sad to say I don't even keep up with it.
Yeah. Real quick, just to hit on that. At Clever Summit, Cole Hatter said, he was like, "Yo, I'm the best copycat I know," right? And I when I was making my business like last year, because I have a straight JV business.
Okay.
Right? I went to your JV link a lot of times to see what you had on there and see what and mine looks similar to yours, bro. I'm not gonna lie. So
yeah, you know what's funny? I'm building my JV department right now, and I'm gonna look at Daryl's. So I'm taking your shit too, dog.
Hey, bro, take it, man. Look, there's very few things that are original. Very few things that are original, man. And hey, all I ask is that you make it even better. That's all I ask. If you're gonna take from it and make it better, man. I want to shoot people y'all's way. Like our business right now is running extremely well. We have our 3 different departments within it, department meetings on a weekly basis. We have our rally meetings at the end of the week. We have our relationship managers that handle everything between our buyers, our sellers, wholesalers, the people that we work with and stuff like that, man. And it's a pretty well-oiled machine right now. And it wasn't always. I remember one time I told Pace, we were in a Zoom, and he was like, if you had to describe, somebody asked about describing your business, and I told him it was a deal producing shit show. And we've elevated quite a bit since then, man. Hired on a lot of different consultants, business coaches. This year we spent a lot of money, on the right companies coming in and helping us define where we needed to be in a business sense. Mm-hmm. And it is in what they taught us overall. And I'm still with my CEO coach. We have a session coming up. The values and the lessons and things that are taught in those from an outside perspective are fantastic, man. So don't be afraid to spend money to get help to see where you need to go and get some definition within your business and how you do things.
Love it.
Word, man. Yo, Don, I'm super grateful for you today, bro.
Likewise.
Super grateful for you. Yo, man, everybody watching, y'all are going to see Don on big stages really soon. It's no doubt about it, right? No doubt about it. So take what y'all learning now. The prices are gonna go up. I'm telling y'all, prices are gonna go up. So make sure y'all get tapped in with Don, bro. I'm super grateful for you joining us today, taking time out of your busy schedule to jump on here today.
Likewise.
Mike, you got anything?
Nah, dog, I appreciate you. I had a shit ton of breakthroughs just in this quick hour, and bro, I'm so thankful. Thank you, Dow, for bringing Don on, and I appreciate you connecting the both of us.
Likewise, man.
A little bit more off stage. Let's link
up.
Yes, sir.
I got a couple minutes if y'all want to hop off.
Yeah, let's do it. Yo, this is Wholesale Hard Knocks, y'all. Episode 13. We'll catch y'all next week, Saturday. I think we're moving the time back to 11 a.m. Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
We got Sam Singh coming on next week.
Okay.
So,
be a good one.
For another good one. So,
yeah.
Make sure y'all here next week, man. It's episode 13, Wholesale Hard Knocks. We out of here, y'all.